Nobody anticipated this kind of chaos. But now that the entire internet is reeling, rumors are circulating, videos are leaking, and fans are in disbelief as intensified that two of the biggest stars in love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and yungjoc, have been arrested following a violent altercation that broke out on set. Yes, what was supposedly just another routine shoot apparently went out of control, turning into a full-fledged brawl that ended in handcuffs. Now that the shocking video clip is going viral, the entire reality TV fans are left wondering what caused this explosive showdown. Was it a personal betrayal, a business fallout, or something deeper and more profound? Insiders say tensions have been building behind the scenes for weeks, but no one expected this, according to sources close to production. What began as a heated verbal exchange swiftly turned physical, and within minutes chaos unfolded right in front of the cameras. Screaming, pushing, security scrambling, and then sirens. Importantly, what does this mean for the show's future? Stay tuned because it's just the beginning, and the details will shock you. Under a tense, overcast sky, cameras were rolling on what should have been a typical day of filming for the newest season of Love and Hip Hop. Producers were barking orders, crews were setting up lights, and cast members were arriving on time. But underneath it all seemed normal. An unspoken tension lingered between Kirk Frost and yungjoc, who exchanged glances and curt nods and hardly spoke. For those who stayed on set long enough to read the room, it was clear that something wasn't right. Production insiders said that Kirk and Jock had been avoiding each other for weeks behind the scenes, with whispers speculating that the fallout started over a business deal gone wrong. According to them, Kirk had made some side moves regarding a club promotion that Jock thought he was supposed to be a part of, but Kirk abruptly cut him out, and Jock wasn't going to let that go. Things had been simmering for a while until today, when it all came to a head. Kirk and Jock were both supposed to film a casual scene at a lounge-style set where the cast was supposed to discuss upcoming ventures. When Jock arrived late, his expression was unreadable, and he sat down directly across from Kirk. At first, they didn't say anything, but Kirk leaned forward and muttered something too low for Mike to hear, loud enough to set Jock off. Jock slammed his hand on the table and said that again, snapping his eyes at Kirk. The room went silent and the crew members froze. I instinctively reached for Kirk's arm to try to calm him, but Kirk was unmoved and repeated the line louder this time. "You're acting like you run things when you don't even own your name." Gasps reverberated throughout the set as the jock slowly stood up. "You're really brave today, Kirk," he said. "Really brave for someone who has been avoiding me for 3 weeks. Isn't anybody ducking you?" Kirk fired back. "I just don't deal with clowns." Within seconds, chairs scraped the floor as the two men stood nose to nose in security. Was hurrying, but not quickly enough. The jock shoved Kirk, causing him to stumble back a few steps. Kirk quickly recovered and swung his fists forward. The cameras were still rolling as the chaos broke out, and the crew attempted to break up the fight, but it was so fierce that furniture was toppled and fists flew. Even the other cast members were shocked and frozen at first, jumping in to try to separate the two. Rashida screamed Kirk's name repeatedly, her voice almost drowned out by the commotion. Scott wasn't even on set at the time, so producers were shouting into walkie-talkies. The altercation had turned into a full-fledged brawl, and to make matters worse, one of the camera crew continued to record, capturing every second of the altercation in crisp video. One producer even muttered, "This is going to break the internet." However, things got out of control, and Jock reportedly threw a punch that unintentionally struck a security guard, which is when the network realized what was happening. Had crossed the line, and within 20 minutes, police arrived, entered the building, and found Kirk and Jock still restrained in opposite corners of the set. Both of them appeared agitated and bruised, and the officers took witness statements, requested video, and started separating the parties. Kirk yelled something at Jock, and the officers released him, saying, "You're finished, bro, done in this industry." Jock didn't answer, but his expression said it all, and as word spread outside the set, social media exploded. Someone leaked the The brief 6-second video of Kirk swing's first swing went viral on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans were shocked, and many initially didn't think it was real. One user commented, but others said it was too real to be fake. Within an hour, the video had over 1 million views on blogs, and it featured Love and Hip Hop stars Kirk Frost and Yungjoc getting into a fight. One headline said, "Tennis posted and blurry." Rashida was seen outside the station looking visibly upset. According to sources, she was yelling at producers, demanding answers, and threatening to leave the show if Kirk wasn't released right away. This was supposed to be a business scene, but she reportedly said, "Not a damn war zone." Commenters were brutal in their debate over who was right, who started it, and what meant for the show's future. Kirk was seated in an interrogation room back inside. With his face tense and his knuckles bruised, he told the police that he felt threatened by Joc and that he acted in self-defense. However, since the video showed the two men fighting, it appeared likely that Joc was in a separate room recovering from a busted lip and a swollen eye. When asked for his version, he laughed bitterly. When asked why he was so afraid to face me like a man these past few weeks, Kirk replied, "All could have been handled off camera." Mona Scott, after being briefed, issued a private statement to the network. "This is not what we represent. We want drama, yes, but not violence, not arrests." She instructed the team to pause all shooting indefinitely while the situation was evaluated, but behind closed doors, there were whispers she might use the footage to boost ratings. Some crew members said she was already discussing how to spin the story for maximum engagement. "This is gold," one producer reportedly said. "As long as someone files a lawsuit." In the meantime, Kirk and Joc were detained overnight, and mug shots started to go viral online, leading fans to wonder if their favorite reality stars had finally crossed a line they couldn't escape. When morning arrived, the streets outside the station were crowded with paparazzi, and fans demanded to know what actually caused the altercation, who kicked first, and most importantly, would Kirk and Joc actually face consequences, or was this just a hiccup? As Kirk was being prepared for release on bond, his phone buzzed with a message from a blocked number. The text said, "You think that was bad? Wait till you see what's coming next." Was just another episode in the crazy world of reality TV. As he sat silently in the back of the police station, his hands still aching, his head still reeling from the events of the day, his face went pale, and that's where part one ends. The message on Kirk's phone sent a shudder down his spine. He couldn't take his eyes off that mysterious text for the entire day. "You think that was bad? Wait until you see what's coming next." The danger was obvious, someone wasn't done, and Kirk had no idea who it was or what they were planning. While across town, young Joc was sitting in the backseat of a black sub, and his manager was driving him away. He didn't know the number, which was blocked as anonymous. From the station, his face was bruised, his jaw hurt, and his phone kept buzzing and texting, all of them from reporters, fans, or people feigning concern. Joc ignored the majority of them, as his only concern at this point was the harm done to his career, reputation, and most importantly, his pride. "Joc, would you like to go home?" his manager asked quietly. By mid-morning, both Kirk and Joc were trending on all social media platforms. The leaked video had received over 5 million views, and the hashtag #KirkShock was the most popular on Twitter. Fans were split, with some blaming Kirk and others supporting Joc. Many were simply shocked that things had gotten to this point, which no one had anticipated. But was that a coincidence? The editing bay of the Love and Hip-Hop production studio was about to leak a longer video, and this time it wasn't just fistfights. Trey, a low-level assistant, had been quietly watching the raw footage as part of his job to catalog and label scenes for the editors. However, he hesitated when he came across an uncut clip that hadn't been secured by producers yet. The camera angle showed a behind-the-scenes moment captured before the fight, in which Kirk and a producer were speaking in private, unaware that the microphone was still hot. Kirk could be heard saying, "I told Mona." The producer said, "Are you sure you want to go that route? That'll piss him off." Kirk retorted, Let him be pissed. I got dirt on him that'll finish him off if he tries me. I'm not filming with Job anymore. He's reckless, he's sloppy, and he thinks this show can't run without him. Trey's heart was racing as he sat motionless. He knew that if he revealed this, he would lose his job, but it would also reveal a whole new side to the drama. In the world of viral content, timing was everything. 3 hours later, the video went viral online, revealing that Kirk had been preparing to break off his relationship with Jock prior to the fight. In addition, it indicated that Kirk was sitting on some sort of secret Twitter account, which was ablaze with rumors about what dirt Kirk had on Jock. Did Kirk start the fight? He called his manager, got his lawyer on the phone, and told Mona Scott, "We need to talk." Under pressure from the network, he set up an emergency meeting with Kirk and Jock separately. Her goal was to calm things down, determine whether filming could resume, and, most importantly, figure out a way to turn into a show that gets more bizarre every day. When Jock saw the studio clip, he almost knocked over his microphone in shock. "What's going on, Kirk?" Mona asked gently, "You tell me." To which Kirk replied, "Why is footage leaking from your studio? Who's playing games? We're handling it internally. But I need to know, what's this about you having dirt on Jock, Kirk?" Kirk arrived first, wearing some glasses to hide the swelling around his eye, and his expression was icy. He didn't return her hug. Leading in, I saw receipts, text messages, and deals he made behind the scenes to get me off the show. He had been acting strangely, so Mona claimed that was personal. Hours later, Jock had his own meeting with Mona, but unlike Kirk, who arrived loud, animated, and prepared to argue verbally. This time, you allowed him to say all that nonsense, and he demanded, "You knew he was trying to play me." "Jock, I just want to get fixed before the network shuts it off. I didn't know about the messages or that he was planning anything," Mona said, raising her hands. "Nina, we aren't fixing anything until I get to tell my side." The next day, a new video appeared online, this time posted from Jock's own verified Instagram. It was a selfie video recorded in his studio. "Let me be clear," he said, "I didn't initiate or desire the fight, but I'm not a punk, and I won't allow someone to disparage me without retaliating with a clap." Then he paused dramatically, saying, "Maybe it's time for me to share what I know, since Kirk wants to talk about dirt." Fans went into a frenzy after reading that final paragraph, with thousands of comments clamoring for more information and hashtags. "I need you to stand with me on this," Kirk said to Rashida, who had hardly spoken to him since the arrest and whose face was still tight with disappointment, as hashtags like Spilthet and Jake's Revenge started trending and Jock was winning the public support battle for the first time in days. She reiterated, "You nearly ruined your entire career for some trivial beef. If he had been attempting to get me fired, it wouldn't be pity." Rashida shook her head, saying, "You must solve for us, not the cameras." The pressure outside continued to increase as Kirk and Rashida quarreled behind closed doors, and the network began. Mona was walking a tightrope, trying to balance the chaos with the promise of sky-high ratings while advertisers demanded answers and threatened to withhold funding if violence continued to dominate headlines. Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any messier, Kirk received another anonymous message on his phone. This time, it was a video file, not text. Kirk opened it with shaking hands, and the clip showed him months earlier in a private conversation with the unidentified woman. The audio was hazy but clear enough to hear him say, "I don't care what the contract says. I'll find a way to cut Jock out. He's dead, wait." Kirk's face went pale again. Someone was sitting on a whole vault of damaging content, and they were releasing it piece by piece. Meanwhile, back at Jock's studio, he received a package with no return address, a US drive, and a note that read, "You're not the only one Kirk betrayed." After plugging in the drive-in, Jock watched in disbelief as the video, which this time featured Perkin. As the second part came to a close, Kirk and Jock realized that they were no longer just fighting each other. Rather, they were fighting someone in the shadows who wanted them both to crash and burn. And the worst part was that they still didn't know who it was. The tension was intense, nearly unbearable, and Kirk paced back and forth in his living room while the video continued to play in the background, his own voice echoing through the speakers like a ghost from the past, each word and sentence a reminder that someone had. When his phone buzzed again, it was a notification that another video had just dropped, but this time it wasn't about him. Rashida Kirk's eyes widened as he tapped the screen. It was a grainy shot from a distance, but it was clear that Rashida and the man were having an emotional conversation. Kirk didn't recognize the man, but he reached out and touched her arm, comforting her as she sobbed. The caption read, "Is Rashida looking for solace from a stranger?" As Jock stared blankly at the files on the USB drive, his heart pounding, he clicked through folders labeled with names, dates, and even episode titles. Someone had archived years of behind-the-scenes footage, including secret recordings, producer notes, and cast gossip. Kirk felt the blood drain from his face. He knew Rashida had been distant lately, but was this real or another move in whatever twisted game was being played at the same time? Regarding Kirk was about the entire show. One file caught his attention, jock_confession_room, and before he clicked it, the screen displayed an old clip of him sitting in the confessional chair and speaking to a producer. He recalled that day when he nearly quit the show following a furious argument with another cast member. In the video, he said something he never imagined would be seen. "This show isn't worth my sanity. If Kirk keeps pushing my buttons, I'm going to lose it, and if I don't act shocked, the clip will be captured." Out of context would make him appear like the aggressor, and whoever leaked the fight video obviously had no trouble releasing whatever served their agenda. However, a knock on the door jolted him out of his reverie, and he realized it was his lawyer. "We've got a problem," she said, "and the network's lawyers are reviewing all the footage, and they're trying to figure out if they can drop both of you from the show." "What they can't do is that we are the show," she said, "but they're under pressure from advertisers pulling out, and the board wants this mess cleaned up quickly." Scott's voice was calm, but underneath she was furious that the chaos had gotten out of control and that we couldn't fix it. She insisted that we spin it as a redemption arc, where Kirk and Jock work out their problems. Fans love a comeback, but the exec on the line wasn't convinced that they assaulted each other on camera, which isn't just bad press and is a liability. "Give me a week," Mona said. "I need you to find out who has the rest of the footage," Mona stated gently, "and if it's you, now's the time to come clean." After the call was over, Mona called Trey, the assistant editor who leaked the initial video. She wasn't positive it was him, but she had a strong feeling he was involved. Later that night, Kirk approached Rashida when Trey remained silent. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me," she yelled. "You think this is a game? Careers are on the line. You want to be next." He held out his phone and questioned, "What's this video going around?" And she narrowed her eyes as he said, "You really think I'm messing around behind your back? I don't know what to think anymore." Kirk responded, "First the fight, now this. I don't even know who's pulling." "That man is a therapist," Rashid sighed. "I went to him because I needed someone to talk to who isn't in this toxic circle. You should have told me about your plot against Jock or all the other secrets you've been keeping." They were staring at each other. The room was silent, and there were years of unresolved tension across town. Jock received an unexpected visitor from his ex-girlfriend Carly, who had watched everything unfold online and decided to check on him. She asked quietly, "It depends on what video you've seen today," and he shrugged. "You know, this whole thing, it feels bigger than you and Kirk. Someone's trying to tear this whole show down," she said, "and I think I know who." He pulled out the USB drive, was sent to me anonymously, but there's only one person who would know all this stuff, one person who was there from the beginning. Carly asked Jock, who hesitated. Stevie J, her eyes widened, and she thought, "He's been off the show for a..." Carly asked for revenge exposure, but why? Perhaps both of them were back at Mama's office when she received an email from an untraceable account with the subject line, "You thought you could play God with people's lives. Now watch it all fall apart." He knows the ins and outs, the dirt, and the secrets. What if he's trying to blow it all up? In the clip, she hears Kirk and another producer say, "Drama sells. If they hit each other, so what?" We cut it out, add some sound effects, and watch the numbers rise. Mona's heart fell. If the video leaked, it would destroy her. She picked up her phone and called Kirk, who concurred that they needed to meet at midnight in a private back room of a club where they used to film. But before the meeting, Kirk received another message, but this time it was different. It was a still photo from the club security camera that showed Kirk waiting alone, with a shadowy figure behind him. Kirk gasped as he looked closer, realizing that the figure was too familiar. He called Jock right away, saying, "We're not enemies, man, and we're being played." Jock paused, then replied, "I know." Jock arrived at the club first, standing by the bar and scanning the dimly lit room, every shadow making him uneasy. He hadn't been back here in months, not since that infamous episode where Kirk called them out on live television, but tonight felt different, even though it wasn't about ratings or scripted drama. And just like that, enemies became allies because the real threat wasn't each other anymore, but whoever had been watching them all along. Now they were ready to come out of the shadows. 5 minutes after Kirk entered, the two eyes darted around as if someone might jump out. They exchanged a quick nod and a silent understanding that everything had changed. They then went to the back room, where Mona was already waiting, pacing like a storm about to break out. She didn't greet them or smile. She just looked up and got right to the point. "You two have officially become liabilities. I've been doing damage control all day long. If this mess gets worse, the network won't just lay you off. They'll blacklist you," Kirk leaned. Mona looked skeptical until Jock stepped forward and put the USB drive on the table between them. "Watch this," he said simply, and as the files opened, her face changed to one of shock and confusion, followed by a flicker of fear. She clicked through folders full of unseen footage, confessional tapes, unreleased scandals, and producer instructions to incite certain cast members. When she asked Kirk and Jack where he got this, Kirk said, "Someone sent it to him anonymously, but we think it's Stevie J." Mama's face went cold. Stevie wouldn't dare. Jock shook his head, saying that he had been quiet for far too long and that he had disappeared for a reason. Perhaps he had been gathering all of while we were out here fighting for scraps earlier. When Mona's phone buzzed, she picked it up and went pale. Another video had been leaked, in which Mona herself told a producer to stage a fake arrest scene involving Kirk and Jock to increase ratings. Her voice was set on the video to make it look real enough to go viral. The leak had hit a major gossip block, and the comment section was already exploding. Fans were now accusing Kirk's phone of faking the fight and manipulating the audience, and Mona slammed her laptop shut. "We need to get ahead of and do a press interview." Jock interrupted, "No, not this time. Every time we lie to hide another lie, we dig ourselves deeper. We need to find whoever is behind this and stop them before they leak something we can't come back from." Kirk nodded in agreement. "They're coming after us piece by piece. First the fight, then Rashida, now you. Who's next, Mama?" Aside from the weight of it all crashing down on her, then we find Stevie. If he's behind this, we end it tonight. Meanwhile, a figure sat in a dark room across the city. The mysterious sender watched the chaos unfold online, lit only by the glow of several screens. Each notification served as a reminder that their plan was working, so they clicked on another video file, this one called Jock_Kirk's secret meeting. The footage showed the exact conversation that was taking place at the club currently, captured by a hidden camera placed in the room. The figure grinned, asking, "What do you want, Benzino?" Leaning back with his arms crossed, he wanted revenge, not just for me, but for everyone you left behind. You think you're the Untouchables are the franchise's kings, but you're just the newest clowns in a never-ending circus, man. You nearly destroyed our lives by leaking our private conversations and turning everyone against us. Benzino raised an eyebrow and nearly tapped the laptop's key before the warehouse's screens came to life. He's been off the show for a... Carly asked for revenge exposure, but why? Perhaps both of them were back at Mama's office when she received an email from an untraceable account with the subject line, "You thought you could play God with people's lives. Now watch it all fall apart. He knows the ins and outs, the dirt, and the secrets. What if he's trying to blow it all up? In the clip, she hears Kirk and another producer say, "Drama sells. If they hit each other, so what?" We cut it out, add some sound effects, and watch the numbers rise. Mona's heart fell. If the video leaked, it would destroy her. She picked up her phone and called Kirk, who concurred that they needed to meet at midnight in a private back room of a club where they used to film. But before the meeting, Kirk received another message, but this time it was different. It was a still photo from the club security camera that showed Kirk waiting alone, with a shadowy figure behind him. Kirk gasped as he looked closer, realizing that the figure was too familiar. He called Jock right away, saying, "We're not enemies, man, and we're being played." Jock paused, then replied, "I know." Jock arrived at the club first, standing by the bar and scanning the dimly lit room, every shadow making him uneasy. He hadn't been back here in months, not since that infamous episode where Kirk called them out on live television, but tonight felt different, even though it wasn't about ratings or scripted drama. And just like that, enemies became allies because the real threat wasn't each other anymore, but whoever had been watching them all along. Now they were ready to come out of the shadows. 5 minutes after Kirk entered, the two eyes darted around as if someone might jump out. They exchanged a quick nod and a silent understanding that everything had changed. They then went to the back room, where Mona was already waiting, pacing like a storm about to break out. She didn't greet them or smile. She just looked up and got right to the point. "You two have officially become liabilities. I've been doing damage control all day long. If this mess gets worse, the network won't just lay you off. They'll blacklist you," Kirk leaned. Mona looked skeptical until Jock stepped forward and put the USB drive on the table between them. "Watch this," he said simply, and as the files opened, her face changed to one of shock and confusion, followed by a flicker of fear. She clicked through folders full of unseen footage, confessional tapes, unreleased scandals, and producer instructions to incite certain cast members. When she asked Kirk and Jock where he got this, Kirk said, "Someone sent it to him anonymously, but we think it's Stevie J." Mama's face went cold. Stevie wouldn't dare. Jock shook his head, saying that he had been quiet for far too long and that he had disappeared for a reason. Perhaps he had been gathering all of while we were out here fighting for scraps earlier. When Mona's phone buzzed, she picked it up and went pale. Another video had been leaked, in which Mona herself told a producer to stage a fake arrest scene involving Kirk and Jock to increase ratings. Her voice was set on the video to make it look real enough to go viral. The leak had hit a major gossip block, and the comment section was already exploding. Fans were now accusing Kirk's phone of faking the fight and manipulating the audience, and Mona slammed her laptop shut. "We need to get ahead of and do a press interview." Jock interrupted, "No, not this time. Every time we lie to hide another lie, we dig ourselves deeper. We need to find whoever is behind this and stop them before they leak something we can't come back from." Kirk nodded in agreement. "They're coming after us piece by piece. First the fight, then Rashida, now you. Who's next, Mama?" Aside from the weight of it all crashing down on her, then we find Stevie. If he's behind this, we end it tonight. Meanwhile, a figure sat in a dark room across the city. The mysterious sender watched the chaos unfold online, lit only by the glow of several screens. Each notification served as a reminder that their plan was working, so they clicked on another video file, this one called Jock_Kirk's secret meeting. The footage showed the exact conversation that was taking place at the club currently, captured by a hidden camera placed in the room. The figure grinned, asking, "What do you want, Benzino?" Leaning back with his arms crossed, he wanted revenge, not just for me, but for everyone you left behind. You think you're the Untouchables are the franchise's kings, but you're just the newest clowns in a never-ending circus, man. You nearly destroyed our lives by leaking our private conversations and turning everyone against us. Benzino raised an eyebrow, and nearly tapped the laptop's key before the warehouse's screens came to life, displaying footage of Kirk and Rashida fighting about cheating rumors and a jock yelling at his ex-girlfriend Mona, planning cast members behind them. "I don't want money, I want exposure. I want the world to see the truth. I want to watch everything you built burn." Jock stepped closer. "And you think people will believe a disgraced ex-cast member over us?" Then Zeno said, "I've got hundreds of hours, and the press is hungry." Kirk clenched his fist and Zeno laughed. "I traced the server and found that he had the footage, but it was all stored in one place, and I just triggered a purge protocol that will delete all of the files on that drive in 60 seconds unless you stop it." Then Zeno's eyes widened as he hurried to the laptop, frantically typing Kirk and Jock. "Look online already, your fans have turned, sponsors are backing out, and even the network is panicking. I don't need to convince anyone. The chaos speaks for itself." "It's over," Kirk said. "You had your moment, now it's done." However, Zeno wasn't prepared to give up, so he took a small pistol from under the table and pointed it at Kirk. The air froze, and the jock raised his hands, saying, "You really are going to shoot us on camera?" Then Zeno's hand trembled. "I lost everything because of you all. My name, my brand, my family is all gone," Kirk said, remaining composed. When Mona triggered the feed one last time, Zeno stared at it for 10 seconds before dropping the gun and sagging into the chair, saying, "Do it." The files disappeared, the screens went black, and the sirens sounded outside. Mona had alerted the authorities, and the police were only a few minutes away, but Zeno didn't fight. He just sat. Kirk and Jock stepped outside as officers crowded the building, and the early morning sun cast long shadows behind them. "We survived," Jock whispered, and Kirk nodded barely. But the battle wasn't over even though the main files were gone. The internet never forgets, and pieces of the videos remained on fan pages, gossip blogs, and dubious forums. Their reputations were still in doubt, and the damage would take months or even years to repair. Mona set up a private sit-down interview with a major news organization, outlet, where they gave their side of the story. Kirk talked candidly about the pressure of fame, the manipulation from producers, and how they had lost themselves chasing ratings. Jock acknowledged his regrets, his temper, and his blindness to the bigger picture. The interview went viral, and fans were split. Some praised their candor, while others accused them of fabricating the story. However, it was evident that they weren't going down without a fight. Over the coming weeks, Mona launched a new digital series called Reality Unfiltered, which gave cast members a platform to share their genuine, undated, became regulars, and opened up in ways the public had never seen before. The response was overwhelming, and for the first time in years, fans saw them as real people rather than fictional characters. Behind the scenes, Menino was charged with several crimes, including cybercrime, blackmail, and illegal surveillance. Although he claimed to have acted alone, there were rumors that others were involved, including rival networks and resentful former cast members. However, nothing was proven, and the mystery remained partially unsolved, adding another layer to the already crazy story. As for Kirk and Jock, they took a break from filming and concentrated on family healing and reconstruction. Kirk spent time with Rashida, going to therapy and attempting to mend what was left of their relationship. Jock reconnected with his kids and promised to be more present. Both of them stayed mostly off social media to let the dust settle, and gradually the scandal started to fade from the news headlines, but the experience changed them. They began talking about creating their own content, something genuine, and a project. They started planning something new and honest, but every now and then Kirk would receive a message from an unknown number with no words, just an emoji or a blurry screenshot, reminding him that the past never completely goes away and that someone out there still watches and waits. This time, however, Kirk wasn't afraid because he and Jock had faced the worst and lost everything. Mona surprisingly supported the idea instead of tearing it apart. Perhaps it was guilt, or perhaps she saw a new business opportunity. Remained intact, and regardless of what happened next, another scandal, another leak, another betrayal, They were prepared to tell their own story their own way, and this time they were in charge. Suddenly, what had begun as a straightforward backstage dispute between Kirkfrost and yungjoc turned into one of the most horrifying and chaotic scandals that reality TV has ever witnessed, complete with leaked videos, viral fights, covert betrayals, and a mysterious revenge plot. This story had every drama, emotion, and a truth that no one saw. The arrest, the confession, the confrontation with Benzino, all of this happened like a movie. But for Kirk and Jock, this was real life. And while they survived the storm, the scars it left behind might never completely go away. The real question is, though, did Kirk and Jock actually turn their lives around, or was just another shrewd move in the reality TV game? Or were they part of the chaos all along? Or were they the victims of manipulation and betrayal? And what about Benzino? Was he a villain or simply? We want to hear from another victim of a poisonous system based on fame and ratings. Do you believe that Kirk and Jocko should be given another chance on reality TV? Ultimately alter the way it manages drama and real-life situations? Or is this simply the way things are? Share your ideas in the... We're reading all of the comments below, so please remember to like this video if the twist caught you off guard. Click the subscribe button to receive more thrilling updates, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and the actual scoop on your favorite celebrities. Nothing stays buried in the realm of reality, TV, so what comes next will leave you stunned. And the next controversy is always only a single camera angle away, so keep an eye out. Curious and, as usual, untidy.